Good morning, everyone. Okay, so today I just wanted to give the overall view of the backend services. Okay, so what we are going to build, if we are going to discuss that, then probably we will be able to design our screens first of all. So here, if you see, these are all the services that we are going to design for the Hunger Savior portal. One is the order service. So where we will be saying that creation of order. And these are the order states: order approved, order rejected, order delivered. And this is the updation of order status. So we are going to do some automation using Kafka for every 5 minutes using a scheduler. Okay. Anyone knows about cron job first? Anyone heard about cron job? Or anyone heard about schedulers? Yeah. So we'll be using exactly for our order status states because you know that probably we cannot use Google Maps for automating the stuff, because for that we need to learn web service mappings, which is a different technology. Okay, so web service mapping is a standard protocol developed by Open Geospatial Consortium in 1999. Okay, so if you have to work on Google Maps, then web service mapping technology you need to learn. So we are not going to learn all these technologies, but from our side, what we need to do, we need to do the automation using Kafka for every 5 minutes. So initially, the order, whenever we create an order, right? So we will see what are all the order entities, properties are required for the order. Okay. So probably what we can do here, initially we'll be saving it as approval pending. That means once the order is created, so it will be waiting for the restaurant to approve its order. Okay. And once the order is approved, it will be changed from approval pending to order approved. And once the order is delivered, then probably we will make it as delivered. But in between, if the restaurant is not going to approve the order, then probably the order will be rejected. So these are the 4 different statuses that we are going to follow. Okay. First of all, whenever we create an order, right? When we actually receive the items in the shopping cart or in the cart itself, whenever we do a payment, once the payment is successful, it will be waiting for the approval pending from the restaurant. Okay. So what we need to do from our side in order to create an order. So these are all the things that we need to keep in mind. So this is the order entity. So we'll be having the order ID, so which is a UUID in turn, which we have used for our movie ticket booking service. And here we are going to say created date and updated date, because why created date is required, that means created date and time. Okay. So why this is required? Because the order status will be changing for every minute, right? So only we'll be updating the updated date and time. Okay. And not the created date itself. And here is the order status first when we actually pass all these things. So what we need to pass from our side, we need to pass a restaurant ID, we need to pass the payment ID, we need to pass the total price, and we need to pass the restaurant menu IDs. That's all we need to do from our side. Okay. But how these are getting invoked is a secondary one. So once we start designing our the backend services, I will let you know about that. Okay. And here we are going to pass restaurant menu IDs because I don't want to pass restaurant menu name, restaurant price. That means restaurant menu price, right? Restaurant menu related things that we are going to have. So first of all, let's see about the entities. So here we'll be having a restaurant ID. Okay. And here we'll be having a restaurant name, rating, image URL, location, menu types. Do you know how I have taken this? Let me explain you from the Swiggy portal. So if you see any of the restaurant, it has a lot of options. Let me show that to you. Yeah. Can you see this? There is an image URL. This is the image. This is the restaurant name. This is the rating. These are menu types and the location. If you can see, exactly I have taken the same name. So restaurant name, then rating, image URL, location, and the menu types. See, exactly it is matching the same thing which is there in the Swiggy portal itself. Okay, so we have an image which is coming from this URL. If you just open this one, okay. So here, image URL, this is the one. And then we do have the restaurant name, which is this one, McDonald's. And we do have a rating, which is 4.2. And we do have a location. Right now, it is located in Madhapur. And then we do have something called menu types. Here, can you see that? Burgers, beverages, cave, comma, dot, dot, dot. So you'll see all this kind of things, how we are going to do that in the front end in order to break this with dot, dot, dot. So there is something called text truncate. If you can see it over here, can you see this? So it has a very long name, but there is something called a text truncate. That means here it is broken down, or we can actually give some length also to this. If you see it over here, the second paragraph, there is something called some text, and they have given the maximum width as 150 pixel. So the 150 pixel maximum width has been come to this one, and it has taken this particular thing. So when we actually use this text truncate class, which is provided by the Bootstrap, this is an internal class of Bootstrap. Okay, so when we actually use that, it will be breaking like this. Can you see this? There is a dot, 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 right? And here again, and here again, and here again. Can you see this? There is only one menu type, South Indian. That's it. For Bima's restaurant, there is only South Indian. Okay, and this is how when the text is actually growing, then probably we can actually break it up using text truncate option. So we'll use all these kind of scenarios, but I just wanted to give a overview on this particular services, what we are going to build, and all these things. Before that, we cannot go and right away build our application. Okay, and if you just go over here, right? So I just wanted to explain one functionality. Okay, first we will design our one service, which is something called a restaurant service. Okay. And here, if you just go to this restaurant service, yeah, yeah. So here, if I open my application, let me open my existing application so that you all can understand about it. Yeah. Let me start this application. And let me start all the backend services required for this. So these are all the services that we are going to build from our side. Okay. So if I just open my localhost 4200, no, it is. Okay. Yeah. So this is the one. Okay. So if I just enter my username and password, I don't know what is the username and password also. I forgot about it. So here, oh, the services are still not available from the backend. I just wanted to start all the services. First, I need to start my Eureka server, which is the registry service. We have built all this Eureka service, API gateway, and all this kind of things in our movie ticket booking system, but we are going to build it from scratch again. Okay. And then we are going to start our API gateway. And then we are going to start our restaurant service. So I'll complete some part of the code. 1 second. Yeah. So let me start the restaurant service application also. And then we do have something called the payment service. And we do have something called a order service also. Okay. And we do have something called the infrastructure that we are going to maintain for the movie ticket booking system. The same thing in it Kafka, but here we do have something called, the orders topic. Okay. Here we are going to only maintain the orders topic and nothing else. Yeah. I just wanted to show some stuff first of all. So maybe I will just give this text document to everyone. So you can just go through this for today. And probably if I just go back to the browser and let me click on sign in again. I don't know the username and password. Let me go and search for it. And also the password is encrypted. That's my worry. Restaurants. Not the restaurant, it's the users, right? Yeah. So the username is Srinivas and the password is encrypted for now. So let me recollect it. Service is still not available. Just wait for some time because it will take some time for the backend to localhost 8761. Think we do have all the services up and running. It's not working. Just wait for some more time. No service available for service user. So, oh, I didn't made my user service up and running again. Sorry for that. That's the reason it is saying that, because the first service which will be called from the front end portal is a user service, because we write everything logic in the user service, right? So user service is not available. So that's the reason it is continuously saying that the service is not available. Okay. So let me make this user service up and available so that everything will be on the correct path. Okay, user service is started. Let me go and check this path. The user services came, but even if the user services came, then we need to wait for some time over here. Still the service is not available. We have to wait for some period of time, because even if the instance is registered with the Eureka server, it will take some time for logging into the user service, because user service is accessed through the API gateway. So it is going to register the instance for some period of time. Yes. Okay. Now it is connecting to the backend. So still invalid credentials. I don't know what is the password. Let's wait for some time. Yes. Okay. So all this data is getting retrieved from the backend database. Okay. And if I just click on this one, can you see this? Everything is coming from the backend. Okay. So I just wanted to show some use case over here. Okay, let me scroll down. Can you see this? There are no restaurants at this place. See this here. But when I scroll down, see, automatically the restaurants are getting loaded from the backend database. That means all the restaurants are not getting loaded continuously from the backend. See this? If I scroll down, then only the restaurants are getting loaded. So this is something called the pagination that we need to implement from our side. Can you see this? So while getting the list of restaurants, it doesn't has to get all the restaurants from the database. If you see in the backend database, in the restaurants, there are almost 30 restaurants. Okay. And if you just go to the menus, a hell lot of menus over here for different restaurants. Can you see this? There are almost 290 restaurants menus. Okay. And here we'll be maintaining the restaurant ID. Can you see this? The restaurant ID is getting maintained over here. These menus are actually belonging to restaurant ID 19, and these menus are actually belong to restaurant ID 30. Okay. So this is how we are actually going to get the backend database, and exactly we are going to display like this over here in the portal. And here, if I just go and select on any of the menus, and here I can add this, I can add this, or I can even add this, and I can go to this cart. Can you see this? So let me delete this one. Yeah. And here we do have a beautiful checkout option for the Raspberry Payment Gateway. Exactly whatever we have done using Stripe Payment Gateway. So we can actually use a UI-based tool, which is Razor Pay Dashboard, and we can use that for our performance, okay, for performing the payment. So that's all we need to do, okay. And now I just wanted to stop, cancel this, close this one. And now let's go over here, right? So if I just go to this backend, so almost we do have how many restaurants? Sorry, how many services? API gateway, payment service, restaurant service, user service. But I have not started the order service because to start the order service, we need to run Kafka. So that's the reason I have included that one as a part of this particular folder itself. Okay. So just close all these tabs, terminate, 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 close everything, and close this one as well, and close this one as well. Okay. Now I'll just close this one as well. Okay. So now these are all the services that we are going to build. So here, when we have to create an order, the payment has to be completed, right? So here, see here, once we do the payment by passing this respective parameters, what we need to pass to the payment. So these are all the parameters. One is the payment ID, payment type. We'll be sending the status. We'll be sending the username, transaction date time, and the transaction ID, which will be coming from the Razorpay itself. Okay. Now, when we pass all these details, what it will do in the backend. So if you can just go over here, there's a payment service. So once we create a payment using Razorpay integration, the Kafka will internally trigger the order service. So in real time, in order to create an order for our, from whatever the operation that we have performed, right? So once the payment service is completing its order, it has to use Kafka in the backend in order to trigger the order service. So in the order service, we must have a listener in the order service to listen for this successful payment. So once it actually receives the payment information along with the user information, then probably what is going to happen? It is going to create an order with the approval pending status, because only when the payment is done, then only order will be created, right? And these are all the order states that I have explained already. Okay, I will just give this document so that you can all go through that. And once the order is in approval pending, and after every 5 minutes, the order status will be changed from approval pending to order approved or order rejected. If the order is approved, then it has to move from order approved to order delivered. Correct. If the approval pending from the restaurant is order, if the restaurant is going to reject the order, it will not be delivered. Right. Only when the approval pending state, when the state comes from approval pending to order approved, then only it will be order delivered. Otherwise, from approval pending to order rejected will come, the order is rejected finally. Okay, because it will not be delivered because it is cancelled by the restaurant. So that's the reason to maintain all this 4 different states of the order status. Okay. And now other thing is we do have something called user service registration part. I will be giving this registration part because even for the first batch of real time, I have not given the registration part because I have just left them as a task. And here we'll be having only one API, which is for authentication in the user service, just to authenticate the user. And here we do have a payment service. We do have only one API. And here in the restaurant, we do have 2 APIs. One is for getting all the restaurants, because here, if you can go and see here, we have a lot of the restaurants coming in from the backend. Can you see this? Here, if you can see, there are a lot of restaurants, but when they are getting the restaurants and showing that information. Only when they click on it, they will be able to show the menu items inside that particular restaurant. Correct? Can you say this? Right? So if they have to show only the list of restaurants, why they have to load the restaurants along with the restaurant menus? That is not recommended, because when we have to show restaurants, we have to show only the restaurants and not the menus, because unless we click on this, we will not be able to see the menu items. Got it? So now if I just ask you over here I'm getting a list of restaurants, but why this is there? Because whenever I click on this particular restaurant ID, just say I just wanted to click on McDonald's. Can you see this? There is something called an ID passed over here. Can you see this? So this is something called a restaurant ID, which is going to be passed as a parameter, so that based upon that particular restaurant ID, I need to load the respective menus also. Can you see this? All these are menus. Got it? So that's the reason to have these two different APIs for the restaurant service. And then we do have something called a cart service. So this cart service is specifically designed for UI and not for the backend, because unnecessarily we don't have to hit the backend to I add the items to the cart, and for the cart we do have to maintain one entity. That is not recommended. But in real time, we will be using the local storage provided by the Angular itself. Okay, we will be using the local storage for this. It is just like a in-memory cache. Okay, and here there is something called a notification service, where we'll be using this notification service in order to send the order approved or order rejected or order delivered, all this kind of notifications. We will be using the notification service in order to do that. But I'm just leaving this to you because notification service is very simple to implement. Okay. And then we do have something called an API gateway. So we'll be configuring the routes for respective services. What are the respective services? One is the user service. Another one is a payment service, and another one is a restaurant service. So in the API gateway, we'll be having entries only for the user service, restaurant service, and the payment service only. Okay. And this is the Eureka server to actually register all the services in order to do the load balancing stuff. I have already shown you the load balancing stuff, how the load balancing can be done with the Eureka server. Okay, we can have n number of instances running of the respective services on different ports, and Eureka server will automatically do the load balancing for it. Okay. And here we do have the list of restaurant, not the restaurant, the Hunger Savior portal entities. So here are the restaurant service entities. So we do have something called restaurant entity. And here we do have list of restaurant menu entity. And this is having a one-to-many relationship. One restaurant can have restaurant menu items, right? So that is what I have actually listed over here. And that's it. This is one restaurant's database. We don't want to maintain it as a single database, because if you have a huge application and if you have 25 plus services, microservices, we cannot rely on single database. And even if you see over here in my, the backend database, I'm maintaining separate database schemas for individual services. And if you see that for payments, I have used one separate database. And for restaurants, I have used one separate database. And for users, I have maintained one different database. Okay. But why this is really required, right? And if you ask me truly, each and every service must have a single database, and that database must not contain more than 2 tables or 3 tables. Because we need to, when we are actually building microservices, we need to make our services fast in performance. Okay. If it is a single database, so many users will be interacting with a lot of tables in the single database, and that is a performance hit, right? It will actually, put a lot of load on the single database. If it is different databases, let's say There are 10 different users. 10 different users are hitting the database of the restaurants. Only restaurant related changes will be happening, right? So that's the reason. And if you just go to this order service, we have order entity only. And if you just go to the user service entity, we do have three different things over here. One is user entity, which will be having a list of user role entity. And here it is having the relationship of many to many. That means here, let's say one user has many roles. The same role can be, acquired by other user also. Here, one user many roles is not applicable. Only many to many relationship is going to apply, okay, from the JPA. So that's the reason I have made it as many to many. And here, the payment services entities are payment entity, where we do have a payment ID, payment type, status, username, and all these things, okay? Why I have maintained a username? Because username is a unique one, which is for the user service, because whenever I do a payment, I need to say which user has performed the payment. And if you just go to the user database, there will be an order ID for this particular user. Because once the payment ID, once the payment is done, we need to keep a track of the user, because that user has ordered some restaurant menus or restaurant related items, right? So we need to keep a track of that. So that's the reason in the payment service, I just wanted to maintain only the user as a reference, so that if I see the user related orders, then I will be understanding that, hey, there are two transactions and there are two restaurants where user has performed, the buying operation from the restaurants. Okay, so this is how it is actually designed. Okay, I'll just give you this list of give you this particular document so that you can actually go through this. And just go to this one. Just go through this for now today. That's it. Okay. So just go through this. You will be understanding how it is going to actually work. Okay. So once you see the list of services, you will be understanding, at least you will understanding the basic stuff. You will understand the basic stuff. But when we start designing our entities, so this document was prepared for the first batch. And I don't want to create it again and again by having a lot of discussions on this. But what are all the services that we are going to have? I have listed them over here. Okay. You can just go through this document so that it will be helpful for everyone. Okay. No, we are not going to use only SQL DB. We are going to use NoSQL database also, Girdhar. Okay. Because NoSQL database is really required for the order service, Girdhar. Okay. Yeah. So we are going to use the MongoDB, and also we are going to use the MySQL DB. Okay. So MongoDB will be used for only the order service, guys. Okay. So here we'll be using a MongoDB because MongoDB is basically a non-relational database. We'll discuss about all those things. Okay. It's a non-relational database. That means there can be multiple tables, but we do not have any relationships or foreign key or primary key kinds of relationships. We'll not be having with the MongoDB, because MongoDB is a non-relational database. Okay. And we will just go through that, why we need a non-relational database and why it is really required. Because if you just ask me truly, order service, user service, payment service, and restaurant service, does they have any relationships right now? No, they do not have any relationship, because order service has its own database, user service has its own database, payment service has its own database, And restaurant service has its own database. But here we are just going to maintain some reference. If you just go to the payment service, I will just show it to you how it actually looks. If you just go to the payments, here I have done some list of payments. Can you see this? There is a username, email. Okay. So here is the username. So based upon this username, if I just go to the users, so here I will be having only these things. Okay. But here I have removed the order service because it is loaded with lot of data. So that's the reason I don't want to load the data multiple times. But when we actually design our entities, you will be able to see how it is actually going to perform behind the scenes. Okay. And one more thing I just wanted to. So there is something called Angular material that we'll be using heavily. So here we do have something called Angular material. So if you just go on get on started, so there is some command ng add Angular material. Okay. So we need to add the Angular material. So once we add the Angular material, we do not want to use these colors. Can you say this? These are all the things. But if you just wanted to use a custom theme, then we need to go with our approach, because here, if you can see, I'm actually following the same thing, orange color, black color, and for the ratings of the restaurant, can you see this? I have used a green symbol. So if you can just see it over here, I have something called variables.css. Here I'm exactly using the same colors which are actually required for my portal. So there is something called primary color, orange, secondary color, white, tertiary color, gray, rating color, green, delete color, and for negative operations, that means for failed operations, I'm going to use a red color. So these are all the only colors that I'm using throughout the whole application, and I'm not using these colors repeatedly. That means if you just go to this one, the dashboard. But before that, I just wanted to show you one simple thing. And if you just go to this one, where is this? Yes, styles.css. So this is how we are actually going to use theme. Can you see this? So this is something called use Angular material theme. So here I have used my own color with different shades. So here is the primary color. So this is how we actually have to use, but I'll just show it to you tomorrow how it actually works and how I have generated all this kind of things. I will show that in one tool. I have used one tool in order to generate all these commands. And also there is empty warning. So we will be using it for the warning messages. You know that there is something called I have used invalid credentials with a red color. So I was exactly using this particular color for that. Okay. If you just go below, so here how we actually use material.all component themes, and these are all my custom colors. And this is the format to be followed because Angular material asks us to use this particular theme. And if you just go over here, just select Indigo and Pink, just go to this Angular material theme, custom. And if you just go over here, so they have actually given this design color system for mode background. So this is the Indigo palette, create your own palette. So this is how they have actually used. Indigo palette means this is an Indigo palette, which is already a inbuilt palette. Can you see this one? This is an Indigo palette. Okay. And if you just wanted to use deep color palette, you can use it. So there is a deep color palette also. So in Angular material, we do have only three different types of themes. One is the primary theme, accent, and one. Okay. So primary, we'll be using it like orange. If you just see it over here, right? This is the primary color. Wherever you see the highlighted colors are also orange over here. Can you see the highlighting colors? So everything is orange. So if you can see, the primary color will be the mostly used color in the website, and accent. So this is a secondary color. So it will be used to highlight key parts of your UI. And if you just go back to this one, can you see this? There is a green color, right? And if I just go back to this, here I just wanted to, green color, all these kind of things, we can use it for the secondary colors as accent. And there's something called warn. Okay, so warn is basically used to give some warning messages, or just to give some, let's say the user has given wrong credentials. We'll be using the red color theme for this particular approach. Okay, so these are the only three themes that um, Angular material is going to use, but in our case, we'll be using our custom theme. So here, can you see, this is the primary, this is the accent, which is for secondary colors. I've actually taken gray color as a secondary color. So, right, if you just go to this one, this is a tertiary color. You can actually take this color as a secondary color inside the Angular material. And if you just go to the warning, I've taken some yellow colors and also some red and also some orange. So here you can actually take a lot of colors, and based on that, you can use it over here. Can you see this? If you just go to this A100 for this accent, A100. So A100 is basically this one. Okay. So we'll just see how we can actually use all this kind of things. But I think I have mostly given the overview of this particular application, but when we start designing it, we'll be going in depth on this particular thing. Okay. So I just wanted everyone to go through this one. And also I just wanted everyone to go through the Spring Boot pagination. So there are very good articles on this. You can just go through this one. This is the one. And anyhow, I will be giving that. So don't worry. No more worries on that. And one more thing. If you just see it over here, right? Let's say I just wanted to open the auth, and I just wanted to open the login. And if you just see in the login, no colors and no much CSS. Okay. Just I have used this particular thing, and the colors. Can you see this? The error, for error message, I'm using a delete color, and these colors are basically coming from this thing. Okay. So only less CSS. And if you just see all the CSS components over here, there is something called Bootstrap overrides a CSS, right? And something called, throughout the whole application, we are using only this CSS only 30 lines of CSS. And if you just go to individual components like a dashboard, let me go to the dashboard, and let me go to the restaurant, and I just wanted to go to this CSS. Okay. Can you see this? Only these things are used. Very little bit CSS only. And if you just go to this dashboard component.scss, I've used the main content padding top and padding bottom. And if you just go to this restaurant menu, CSS, these are the only things. So because I don't like much CSS, it actually requires in some cases, but according to my view, we have to avoid a lot of CSS because it will confuse a lot of newbies also. Okay. It will not, I think this month end only, because I am the coder, right, Suresh? It will not take months, Suresh. The front end will take only, if I start typing the coding, it will be very much fast, completely from scratch. I think for one day, we can actually, if you just see this one, for designing this login, right? So this actually takes 1 hour of time. That's it for me. but you need to practice a lot from your side. Okay. This will not take months, Suresh. Okay. Because if you need to design a login in a perfect way, then we need to, use some less CSS and Bootstrap related flex layouts so that the UI will be designed very fast. You will see tomorrow how I'm going to design this screen in 1 hour tomorrow, and you will find it very much easily, with easy steps. All these components will be designed in a very easy way. You don't have to write CSS. If I'm going to write a lot of CSS for this, then probably it is going to take a lot of time, Suresh. Okay. So for this particular page, the page that you are going to see over here, right? This one. So this you can use it to build. If a new person is working on this portal, then probably he might take 3 hours or 4 hours of time to build this particular the page that I'm showing right now. It will actually take this 3 or 4 hours of time to learn and implement it. But for me, it will take around 40 to 50 minutes of time to design this page. But I will let you know how to design this page in an easy way using the Bootstrap CSS. No, we are not going to copy CSS from the existing library, everything from scratch, because that's how it is actually designed for the real-time batch one also. I'm not going to copy any CSS. Got it? If I copy CSS, what you will learn, man? Huh? Okay. So I'll meet you all tomorrow at the same time. Okay. So probably we will just start the front end designing. So I just wanted everyone to go through this document first. Hunger Savior text document. Understand this. What are all the services that you do have? And all these things from the scratch will be started from tomorrow. Because if I don't give the overview, you don't know how it is actually going to work. Okay. So that's the total idea. And while designing the services in the front end, here I have actually designed the DB folder. And can you see this? These are the restaurant menus. Can you see this? 2,624 lines. I have prepared this data on myself. Okay. And this is something called restaurants. So initially, we will not be interacting with the database, correct? So we need to have the structure, how we are going to receive exactly from the backend. I have designed this structure especially for the people who are going to, not interact with the backend first, but initially how they are going to get the data, I have designed it already. Okay. So we'll be just going through all these things, and we'll be, analyzing each and everything. So do you know how this is actually getting prepared? So can you see this one? Swiggy portal same. I will just go back. Image URL. Image URL I have. And then I do have the restaurant name. And then I do have a rating. Super. The rating is here. And then after rating, I do have something called menu types. I have designed the same. And then I do have a location of the restaurant. I do have the same. This is how I have actually prepared the restaurant's JSON, so that it will be easy for the people to actually work on this particular backend itself. Okay. So in the initial stages, when we actually start designing the login page and the restaurants, we will not be using the backend. Once we build this particular UI for 10 days, so it will take 10 days once we start designing this complete UI. And once this is completed, we will start designing our backend services. Okay, so that's the total overview. Got it? So initially, we will be working on this particular restaurants and restaurant menus. And this is something called, the valid JSON, which will be used for inserting the records in the database. So this is how I have actually used this document in order to insert the data inside the restaurants like this. It is almost, 2,436. But I will also give you an API which will insert all this data in your database like this for restaurants. Okay. So I just wanted everyone to go through that document for today, and tomorrow we'll start. You know, I will not be giving an opportunity for you to type from your side. I'll be giving an opportunity to myself to start coding from my side, so that it will be fast, and it will be going very fast because I'll be a little bit fast, but whatever the code that has been completed from my side every day, I just wanted to push that code not to the GitHub. I will be giving the zip file to everyone on the same day. Okay. So that's how it is actually going to work. Got it? Yeah. And tomorrow I will meet you at the same time. Okay. To start designing the front end from tomorrow. Okay. Have a great day and happy learning. Bye.